Hello everyone. There are people in the world who can be an inspiration and example to others, and for this they don't have to make great discoveries or compose symphonies. They simply do absolutely incredible things in a different way. They challenge themselves and the forces of nature to show that the human body is capable of great things. Seeing these characters in action is more interesting than any popular television series, but like any good series, these stories are still great if you see them sometime after they appear. So, who are these people who have achieved the impossible? Now we'll find out. Let's get it on. Human capabilities have limits, everyone knows that, but people like Ross Edgley from Britain are able to overcome these limits, allowing us to see the world in a different way. The fact is that Ross was the first swimmer in history to swim around the UK. During the Great British Swim, which lasted 157 days, the athlete toured the coasts of England, Wales, Ireland and Scotland. Now imagine how big that distance is. Starting from Margate on June 1st, 2018, Ross moved alone with the strength of his own muscles. His entire journey was tracked, recorded and measured. Moreover, the athlete rested in a boat between the 6-hour swimming sessions, but never set foot on land. Ross's first 6-hour swim was successful, but it was immediately clear that the Great British Swim would not be an easy test. The athlete began to feel unpleasant irritation around his neck. In his first week at sea, Ross had to avoid rafts and cargo ships as he crossed the Passo de Calais, one of the busiest navigation channels in the world, where between 500 and 600 boats pass daily. I woke up this morning with pieces of my tongue on the pillow. Because of the constant presence of salt water on his tongue, Ross began to suffer from salt mouth. He also developed a strong irritation around his neck, so social network fanatics called him Rhino Neck.
Good work. Good job, mate.
After 20 days at sea, Ross accepted his salt mouth and neck irritation. The athlete found the right pace of movement, but the ocean tossed him a new test, a huge flock of jellyfish that bit him right in the face.
Jellyfish.
In the Gulf of Bristol, Ross was literally hit by the waves and whipped by the tides. He himself called this sight the most difficult of all during the Great British Swim. After swimming 1,411 kilometers, or 877 miles around England, Wales, Ireland and Scotland, Ross officially reached the middle of the Great British Swim. On August the 14th, the Great British Swim became the world's longest multi-stage sea swim. Shortly thereafter, a shark appeared in the water near Ross, and is definitely not the most expected company in the open sea. In addition, because of the mask, the athlete looked like a seal, so he tried to swim differently so as to not look so much like it. We agree it sounds weird, but what would you do if you had a big shark by your side? In early fall, Ross went into eat, swim, sleep, repeat mode.
Sleep, swim, eat, and repeat.
And finally began spending more time swimming than sleeping. Each new swimming stage was harder than the previous one. Ross completed his 100th day of swimming at sea, seriously behind schedule he'd set for himself. Initially, the athlete had planned to spend only 100 days at sea. Due to the storm Ali, which hit the coast of Scotland, Ross and his team were forced to take refuge in the port of Dunbar. Of course, the athlete didn't go ashore even in this situation, and was anxious to continue swimming. Once at the mouth of the Humber River, Ross had to deal with boats and muddy water. He only had an hour to get past this section of the road, otherwise it could have all ended badly. But the problems in October didn't end there. Another major natural phenomenon, Storm Callum, hit the east coast, and the Great British Swim team had to take cover again. The best way to describe Storm Callum is to say that it's the oldest, most evil brother of Storm Ali, Ross said. The bad weather came just on the 33rd birthday of the swimmer, who celebrated on board with a Viking helmet with horns. I've become a year older and a year wiser, and I'm trying to practice being a chubby, old, wise sea Buddha. On November the 4th, 2018, Ross completed his journey and became the first man to swim along the entire coast of the United Kingdom without touching land. 400 people daringly jumped into the icy water to swim with Ross for the last half mile, separating him from his new world record. Leaving the foam of the sea at 8:40 a.m. local time, Ross triumphantly lifted a commemorative trident over his head. His name and the inscription 157 days were engraved on the trident. According to Ross himself, along the way, he understood that the Great British Swim had been the hardest test of his life. At the beginning of the adventure, he was very naive, but then there were moments when the athlete doubted he could even reach the end. After completing the race, Ross felt pride, fatigue, and relief. And finally, let's talk numbers. Ross swam 2,884 kilometers, which is like crossing the English Channel 85 times, or clearing 57,679 Olympic swimming pools. The athlete made 2.3 million blows, spent 5 rolls of tape to treat wounds, and 3 kilograms of petroleum jelly to rub on damaged skin. In addition, Ross suffered 37 jellyfish stings, grew a beard to protect himself from them, ate 610 bananas, spent 504,732 calories, and developed a top speed of 8.7 knots. And this incredible man lost exactly 0 days due to illness. The only thing that stopped Ross were the storms. The athlete says the most valuable thing to him in all of this history is that he's inspired many people to make new achievements, even if they are small. Another striking example can be found in Sweden, the place of residence of Fredrika Ek, a girl who has traveled by bicycle all over the world. Fredrika spent 1,040 days traveling 50,000 kilometers on her bicycle and visited 45 countries, and this incredible journey began with a dream. And the dream had nothing to do with the bicycle actually. Fredrika simply wanted to feel free and see the world as it really is. And so in March 2015, she left her friends and family to embark on a journey. Fredrika told about her trip on her personal website, Facebook and Instagram. "I've always loved challenges. This one was very difficult and I knew it beforehand," Fredrika wrote. In addition to the travel notes, she presented a large number of photos capturing her visits to different corners of our planet.
Hey, jag heter Fredrika. Hello. Hello.
I met wonderful people. These 3 years I've traveled alone, but I've never felt alone. Wherever I went, there was someone who welcomed me with open arms.
Hey.
Having completed her journey, Fredrika founded a charitable foundation to help people who've lost hope. In addition, she plans to speak with the public and share the invaluable experience she's accumulated during a 1,000-day trip. Fredrika Ek's incredible dream became the longest bicycle ride in Swedish history, and the girl really has something to tell and share with others. No matter what you think, our planet is huge. So big that one person can't walk the whole circumference. But the Australian Tom Dennis showed that anything is possible. The man ran all over the world in just 21 months and realized how small our Earth really is. On average, he ran more than 42 kilometers every day. That is a complete marathon, for which people prepare for years. In total, he covered 26,232 kilometers on his own, which is the sum of the longest roads in latitudes on all continents. During his incredibly long journey, the runner wore more than 10 pairs of shoes. Dennis's race began on December 31st, 2011 in Australia, from where the marathon runner crossed into New Zealand, then crossed North and South America, and then ran from west to east through Europe and Asia. Then he returned to his native Australia, and from the west coast he arrived in Sydney. The man who turned 52 during the race has 2 children and a scientific degree in mathematics and oceanography. Tom said that during the test he never thought about giving up everything and stopping. According to Dennis, anyone who dares to do this will feel that his body quickly adapts to the loads, and it becomes habitual to move at such a crazy pace. He also added that now the world seems to him not as big as it used to be. During his incredible journey, Dennis, like Fredrika, kept a diary in which he recorded all the events that happened to him. Among them, for example, an encounter with a rattlesnake, a dust storm, and floods.
Seeing my first live snake in South America. Try to save them if I can, but you can see I'm in a flood.
Here's one of the entries in this amazing diary. Today I've covered 53.97 kilometers, in total 2,024.92 kilometers, about 12 kilometers west of Santa Cruz, United States. In the afternoon I came across a hitchhiker heading in the opposite direction. He wasn't having the best of luck and seemed very distressed when he asked me if I knew where to find water. I was coming from the direction he was going and knew that there was no water for many miles, so I made a quick decision and gave him all of my water. He needed it much more than I did. With his original race, the Australian set a new world record. Tom Dennis made history as the person who made the fastest walking trip around the world. By the way, the man doesn't plan to repeat his marathon all over the planet. Now he intends to travel by bicycle all over Australia.
Hey, stop being lazy, it's time to use that brain of yours. Welcome to Brain Time. Incredible facts from the past, the present, and even the future. The power of nature and wild animals, amazing facts and unsolved mysteries. You'll find all this and much more here. Subscribe now, you won't regret it.